Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to start the February 10th meeting of the Portsmouth Board of Fire Commissioners. And first we'll do is we'll have a pledge of allegiance. So go ahead. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need to approve the minutes of the January 13th, 2026 meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the 26-025 approval of minutes for January 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I assume generous.
Yes.
Public comment session. I see nobody raise their hand. We'll pass that. Public hearings. 2026 is the thing. It's public hearing for the FY27 proposed fire department budget, and it's the official presentation of such budget. You'll have it in your packets. Nice.
Good evening and welcome to the fiscal year 27 budget proposal and public hearing. Maybe.
Nice color.
There we go. Sorry for the technical glitch. So just to review the core functions here with the Portsmouth Fire Department. We provide suppression and rescue activities to residents and visitors. We manage and run a ALS paramedic care and transport service. Respond to and mitigate releases of known and unknown chemicals with our hazmat. And then our marine and waterfront, where we protect the incidents on and along the waterfront and in the harbor here in Portsmouth. Our functions, training, getting firefighters the skills, repetitions needed to perform as an effective team when needed, ensuring our vehicles, tools, and equipment are at a state of readiness at all times, and responding to and mitigating emergencies as they occur, and then increasing our situational awareness by touring buildings, ships, rail facilities, and non-emergency settings on blue sky days, as we like to say. Build that familiarity. Additionally, we do some permitting, plans review, inspections, acceptance testing, cross-department collaboration and documentation with some of the inspectional services folks up at City Hall. We do some public education, do some fire and life safety with classrooms, demonstrations, and consultations. And then our inspection folks are doing code enforcement, life safety inspections, and compliant investigations. And then for fire investigations to identify cause and origin. Additionally, the fire department is charged with and manages the emergency management functions within the city with mitigation, planning, working with other city departments and developing updates to the different hazards, preparedness for continued work with city staff to update responses to man-made, natural, and radiological disasters as part of the emergency operations plan on file with the city. And then response to participate in biennial response drills with the Homeland Security and FEMA to test the city's response plans. And this year is the second year of the biennial cycle, where it is a drill year where we'll have to participate in drills with those other municipalities within the emergency protective zone in Seabrook Station. And then the last part of the emergency management core function is recovery, where we work with economic development to have more robust recovery plans and to make sure that we're getting the aid that is necessary. To review our department goals, we will maintain and strengthen a reliable delivery of essential and critical emergency and non-emergency services. promote the safety of the community and employees through a comprehensive education and training, and provide effective, efficient, and customer-centered services while minimizing the risk of life and property loss through proactive planning, education, and enforcement of applicable codes and standards. So the fiscal 2027 request, you may recall, we heard the manager and the finance director come out in the month of September and talk about looking for some austerity in our budgeting process. So you will see two versions that will follow. One with a request for a new position that we submitted last year that ultimately was not funded, and then a continuing services budget as well with that position removed, and the impact of each level of explained. So if you look here, you'll see the fiscal year 27 request at 2.08%. This maintains current service levels. It covers the increases in our projected operating costs and covers the increases in contractual costs. It would add a position in administration for a position looking specifically at training and EMS support and succession planning for my eventual retirement, and a reallocation of some savings within the budget. You'll see that we're able to get here largely because we have a $179,000 reduction in our workers' comp fees from previous years. As I understand it, the vendor has reallocated the amount of risk that the full-time firefighters in the state are to them with respect to the call and volunteer, and updating the actual history of claims. But as you'll see throughout the budget here, as you follow down, this represents about a $260,000 increase over this year's appropriation. In the event that the commission doesn't feel that this is the year to move forward with a new position, the fiscal year 27 request can be reduced to just under 1%, largely by removing that $137,000 and the associated other costs around that new position. So to make sure that we're maintaining our core functions here and our calls for service by keeping our staffing levels, you can see our response trends here on the left-hand side of the slide have been fairly consistent over the last 10 years, trending up. There seems to be a little flattening of some of the fire responses as well, and that's due to a couple of items. One is bringing the 30 ambulance online full time has reduced the amount of runs that the fire apparatus have to go on, but you'll notice that the EMS responses of the ambulance continue to trend upward. We'll continue to make sure that we're staffed appropriately for the growing of the city and to fill our needs, and work with our mutual aid partners in the future here, and looking to increase our inspections and permits as well. Which brings me to a revenue slide here. On the left-hand side, you'll see revenue from the fire department, and you'll see that we're trending about $1.5 million a year annually that we take in for the city. On the right-hand side of that graph, you'll see that the fire inspection fees are there, and they're at about $157,000 annually, and we're at about $1.3 million on ambulance revenue. The challenge is going to be moving forward, as you'll see here on the right-hand side of the screen, that there's a new law that came into effect that essentially freezes ambulance fees for the foreseeable future for the next 2 years, as the Department of Insurance now is looking to get into regulating what can and can't be charged for ambulance revenue. There's another study that'll be ongoing over the next 2 years, and a determination will be made with respect to whether or not municipalities, private ambulance services will be able to continue to bill for their services, and if so, what rate of increase can be expected and what's acceptable. I wanted to take a moment to speak a little bit about the efficiencies realized here within the budget. That the fire department is remarkably light when it comes to the front office and administration, and that having a chief, an assistant chief, and a deputy at the moment, and then one administrative manager, that we get an awful lot done and a lot of bang for the buck, so to speak. Additionally, what we try to do here is use some of our off-duty personnel and recently retired folks to do some of the maintenance here on the vehicles, and try and not pay shop labor to do some things that we can keep here in-house. And then you'll see that we have some staff duties that we assign to our company officers, who in addition to going on alarms and responding to emergencies, are also taking care of some of these other items here in-house, to try and lighten the load, so to speak. The fire department currently is staffed as such, where you'll see that there are new positions listed in our current, if there were to be the approval of having the deputy chief, then you would see the deputy chief working underneath the assistant chief and above the 4 captains there. When we look back over fiscal year 26, what we were able to do is implement our record management and CAD software here fully. And as a result of that, we were successfully able to transfer out of one fire reporting system to a different one, which was no easy lift. But we were able to get it done a couple months early due to the dedication of the staff here internally, and to take advantage of the fact that the new CAD system would be up and running early. So we were able to get out of the Infor system and into the NEAR system, and figure out how to get that implemented, and then get our staff trained on how to use the new reporting system, which is seems to be a little bit easier. There's still some bumps with respect to getting data in and out, but by and large, it's been a successful transition. One of our other accomplishments that we're very proud of is that we were able to get all of our company officers and chief officers through a nationally recognized incident command system, and we were able to get them all certified in the program. Moving forward, we'll get that certification renewed every 2 years, but we also trained our firefighters on the basic concepts of the communication around this system. But the goal here is to make sure that we have folks that are certified in this, and to keep up with changes in national best practices and trends, to make sure that the folks that we have managing incidents are suitable to be managing those incidents, and that they have the proper training. Some of our 27 initiatives, obviously looking to plan for some retirements and succession planning here. We're looking to talk about if we can get this training deputy in place. We're looking at expanding our ALS capabilities and become a leader in the pre-hospital setting. I think 2 of the areas that we're looking at right away are to look at the pre-hospital giving of antibiotics to our septic patients, which has a proven dramatic outcome on making successful patient intervention early, which leads to better outcomes when they can get discharged for the hospital healthier. And then working on a rapid sequence innovation program. RSI is a skill that our paramedics would be trained on, and essentially be looking to use paralytics to make sure that we can manage an airway and get an airway inserted in our critically injured patients, or patients that are rapidly deteriorating. But both of these initiatives are going to require some time and with respect to training, but also making sure that we can manage this program and get the documentation and keep on top of it. But this is a direction that I think that the Portsmouth Fire Department can go in and do so successfully for a short investment. And then we're always looking to develop and expand our technology resources for better service delivery. I think at the end of the day, firefighting is still a physical job. We still need people to haul hoses and ladders and to do the things that we do. But at the same time, we can look at trying to get better data from some of the systems that are out there into our firefighters' hands as they are responding to make sure that they're doing everything that they need to be doing, they're kept safe, and they're protected. So the total budget request for FY27 is $2,900,000. It's about $263,000 over last year's request, and it represents a 2.08% increase. You can see some of the main budget drivers here, bringing this number up. And again, if you backed out the new deputy fire chief position, that would bring it down to the 0.99 number. One of the things that we recognized is that over the last 3 years, we've overspent our maintenance line item here within the fire department. We've transferred things around within line items to make up for that shortfall. So this opportunity that provided itself to me with the reduction in the workers' comp fees seemed to be the time to take advantage and to budget properly. The proposed new position would come in at a 23E. And again, just some of the tasks that we'd be looking for it to do to make sure that we're standardizing and tracking all of our training activities across all 4 platoons. And that we're targeting our folks for some of the training. I think one of the challenges we have is that we have, roughly 20 or so firefighters of the 48 firefighters that are on the floor that have been hired in the last 5 years. So we want to make sure that we're keeping an ongoing training program to keep their skills up, and we still need the captains and lieutenants to be taking care of the probationary training that's ongoing and the annual certifications that we do. We want to make sure that we're delivering the most modern pre-hospital care, and this position would certainly focus on that. And again, as I mentioned, we'd be looking at doing some succession planning. The year ahead, we're looking to maintain staffing of shift personnel at 15 across 5 at each station across the city. We want to make sure that we're taking care of safety for the firefighters and the public that we're serving. And we want to make sure that we're operating consistently across each district, offering the same city service citywide. And our continue to work on risk reduction through code enforcement and public education. We're looking for ways to innovate and keep the workforce safe and healthy, and looking to work with IT to get the most information possible to our firefighters in a timely manner, and make sure that we're leveraging technology for better situational awareness for the crews. We'll slide here on community awareness and getting out into the community. And then I always close with this slide because I think it encapsulates the challenge that we have here. We have the technology on the left-hand side of the thermal imaging camera, trying to make sure that we have technology and tools that we can use. But at the end of the day, as you see Zach and Jack here humping hose to reload it into the truck, at the end of the day, it still takes people to do the work and the manual labor that's required to get the job done. That concludes my presentation, Chairman. I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions from the commission?
I have none.
Question would be is, what do you believe that the, which budget, which side do you want to come down on? With the deputy or without?
Mine would be with the deputy.
The 2.8.
We forfeited the deputy last year. And I think it's time to move in that direction, and we have the opportunity for additional funds that we're saving in the workers' compensation. And it's also a needed position that we have to move the department in the right direction for the public and for the citizens of Portsmouth. I think it's relatively inexpensive, especially since we have the additional comp money coming through.
Jen?
So that's my view.
Jen?
I would actually go with the 0.99. I recognize certainly the need and the desire. I think we can look at other efficiencies that we can make to still conduct that training, maybe even prioritizing the training that we currently have. I think in this atmosphere, in this budget year, it's not the time to be asking for more. If we can provide the same level of service with what we have. And I think the workman's comp noted, but pass that on to the city and the citizens. That would be my.
It would be my choice to add the position because it is truly needed. And we have been suffering without the kind of personalities and the kind of training that we need and and to have the third person on the runs. We desperately need that. Right now, we have a chief and a deputy chief who have been half their life in the last 4 years have been on call. Which means you can't leave town, and it's time that we fix that problem. I think that the savings that we've gotten from the workman's comp it's a wonderful thing, but I would have voted for this 2.0 budget without it.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that was probably not made clear in the presentation and to others, that the command coverage, right, that with two people right now,
Right.
where it used to be with
Three.
three, and we had not had three for 3
3 years.
years,
Maybe 4.
We're going on 4, chief.
4 years?
4 years.
Yeah.
So I understood. Is there another way to accomplish that? Does it have to be that step at that level with that everything?
I think
Good
I have a view of, we cannot fall behind, we can't go backwards. This is an advanced department and quite frankly, at a budget price. We're not the highest paid department, we don't have the best equipment. We have good equipment and we have great people, but we're not overspending, people are not overpaid here. And if we wait till next year or another year and another year, it'll get more expensive and we'll have to be spending our time catching up. We've got retirement of chief officers that are coming up.
Yep.
And I would my personal opinion from a management point of view is I'd like somebody to be in place for a couple of years. You don't turn into a chief officer overnight. And we need to have the ability to train and to be able to cover for those things. And I think a third person for the operational effect is important, but my fear is that to save very little money, that we're going to lose our momentum and we will be behind the 8 ball as we come forward. This is not an abstract position. It's not something that only the city of Portsmouth has. It's a normal position in a fire department that has 65 people, right? 22 pieces of apparatus, 3 stations, and a $12 million budget. It's to me, it's the right way to move ourselves forward and keep up with the world, right? Our EMS is bar none the best in the area, and we need to stay on top of that and keep that part of it going. So that's my play for that. I don't want to go backwards. We don't want to go backwards. And if we stay where we are, if you hold still, you're going backwards.
So the other thing is the suggested, as Billy had said, we have some people that are retired. He being one, okay? And these guys probably are in the right position to retire.
Eventually, sure.
In a couple of years.
Yes.
And we've got captains that are certainly in that area, so we've actually had a lot of retirements. We actually have a lot of firefighters. How many firefighters do we have under 5 years?
20.
20.
So close to half of LaFleur people, firefighter level.
Now, how many captains have been in their job for over 10?
1.
There's the problem. We need that experience coming up. And we need to be thinking about all of that.
Sure.
And it's not anything that doesn't happen anywhere else. It's just, it seems to happen to us, you know, all in one bang, one,
Right.
2 or 3 year bang, it was boom, boom, boom. Sure.
Mhm.
And that'll be that way 20 years from now, but I don't think we have to worry about that.
We won't.
Jen, you had something? Um. We'll have a public hearing in just a second so that you guys can speak if you'd like. Do you have any other suggestions or any other hopes? Wishes? Want to add anything to this budget other than that?
No.
Well, I always yell at him about, we don't have enough money in the maintenance account. You know, just this year, if one truck go down for $35,000.
Mhm.
One.
Mhm.
And it was the spare engine, it was
The
the
spare.
spare ambulance that went down. So I'm fearing that.
Mhm.
It's the weather we have and the type of roads that we're driving on, the narrow roads, it's hard on the brakes, it's hard on the transmission, it's hard on everything.
Mhm.
And then the cold weather is hard on all of it.
Well, it's also aging as well, and the availability of emergency equipment is stretched now. There were years where you could just go buy a fire truck and it would show up in 6 months to a year. Now it's nowhere near that.
3 years.
We're waiting 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, so the longevity and the age of the equipment that's out there. And you cannot put people on the street with substandard equipment. It's not safe for them, not safe for the public. And get it going. If my car doesn't start in the morning, I just jump in another car or my wife's car or take an Uber. That doesn't work here, right? You need to turn the key, it needs to go, and everything on it needs to work.
Well, the other thing is, I think that the city is in a precarious position with growth. And if we don't stay current with training, administering of the fire safety prevention programs that are out there
Sure.
and equipment, we're gonna be behind the 8 ball just in the amount of people that will be living here in 5 or 6 years.
Sure.
We got 17 or 1,800
Yep.
apartment units coming on board. And that makes a difference.
Mhm.
It makes a big difference. Any other questions? What we should do is open the public hearing,
Absolutely.
and then we can make a decision after we're here. Public hearing is now open. Anybody like to speak? Esther?
Yes, but let us speak.
I'll repeat it, make sure it gets onto the,
Get
You
closer to it.
go nuts.
Alright.
Sure. I was trying to,
We
I know.
we don't have enough, of those.
That's what we do.
yeah.
They're behind you, so you feel.
No, that's all right. This is good. So I guess to answer your question about you had no problem going for 900,000 for a vote in November. Or October, I guess it was. So it seems like there's money in the coffers if there's an emergency. To answer the question about the $15,000 for repairs that you were concerned about. You know, first of all, I'd like to say I was a little disappointed that this budget wasn't uploaded ahead of time, so we're just getting it now and trying to race through it. I have to say that the other areas did upload it, so we had a little time. So it's connected to the agenda. I know some other departments, because of what the chief said about getting appropriate medications and appropriate things to individuals, instead of going into middle management, bringing someone on board like that, you might want to consider an RN that can give training to the EMTs, who has the capability of looking at medications, has that kind of thing. I know that is something that's happening out there, and I would encourage it. I don't know if this is the time to bring in another middle management position. And if you look at the list, there really isn't anyone under that position. So I don't know how that was gonna look like in accordance to your plan here. So it doesn't, according to the plan, unless I'm missing something, it really doesn't look like they're managing anyone. So I'm not sure where that all fits in. But in this time, we need to look at cost. And I truly believe that if we've gone 4 years, if you look at your data, your number of calls has gone down you know, I still can't get over why we've got a fireboat. I know as someone who's on the water all the time, I would be calling the Coast Guard first. And I also know that information, and I know the Coast Guard will come, they have. So I guess my question is, you have to decide what your wants are. What's your want? If you feel this extra captain is the most important thing, then I question, why did you go for the fireboat? Why did you go for the extra money? And that, if you look at your calls that was in your meeting agenda that you gave to us, I didn't see many calls for fire or for water. So again, it's all about choice. What is the best thing to go with? So if we need, if the chief is saying you need the middle management to do training and you staff, the question is, to me, is that the right person to have doing the training? Should it be someone with more medical, like an RN? Or someone you contract, like maybe a doctor? And then if this is something really important, why did we go in the other direction in October? If this is something you really wanted to add to your budget, thinking about the finances for the year. So given the fact that we haven't had a lot of time to go through things, that's where we'll stop right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Do you have any valuable information? Hi.
Hi, Peter Huda, Portsmouth. So minor questions. First of all, I'd like to thank you for putting the revenue in here. I think everybody needs to know, and I'm glad it's in your presentation. The next question would relate to that. This new change that's coming up with the law. Can you estimate how much that is going to affect your numbers? Just a question. Okay, the next thing I'd like to ask, I'm on your org chart page. And it looks like this new position that you're asking for does not report or supervise any of the staff. So again, I don't know if you're doing succession planning with this or what the question would be, but to me, we would have the same question that we had last year as far as if this position was really needed at this time. The last question I would have is, what's the status of your staffing? What's the current staff? Are you fully staffed at this point in time?
So right now I have 2 openings and I have people in background that we're working on. So for all intents and purposes, yes.
So you're 2 down in everything? Is that what you?
2 out of the 65 people that work there.
Okay.
I'm at
Okay.
63
So you're real close. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
But there's 2 in background checks, which
Yeah.
means they could be out and then become employed.
They could get washed.
So we've got them in the system,
It's a very new system.
but they're
Okay.
not working every day.
Okay, the last thing that I want to ask, and I'm going to ask this to the rest of the city too, because I suggested this as far as an efficiency last year. And I know you're a specialty, your stuff is specialty, but 35,000 for the increase in repairs and that and the maintenance. We have mechanics across all of our silos, all across public works, parking, school, fire, and police. And is there any way that you can get help with other stuff to basically take this down or take this into your budget? So that would be my only other question. The other thing I'd like to compliment you on is it looks like you kept your overtime flat, which is great. The only thing is, we don't know what happened with 25 if you overspent, underspent, because your actuals aren't in here. So, thank you.
So to answer the question
Let
with
me
respect.
just see, sir, would you like to speak?
I just have a question, okay?
Sure.
Chris Cole, City of Portsmouth. Chief, when you get revenue from the ambulance, does that go back into the fire department's budget?
So any revenue that is derived goes back to the city and to the general fund.
So the expenses are at the expense of the fire department, but the revenues.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is there any thought to change that?
I've not been involved in any discussions, but again, I think it complicates matters when we know that the amount of revenue that we're taking in is going to be frozen, and we can't predict what it looks like in 2 years because we're not sure where the rates will be set at.
Can't even go into like planning for future
Mhm.
purchases or anything.
No, not at this time.
Thank you.
But to answer your other question with respect to the
Okay.
mechanics, we have engaged with all the other departments trying to figure it out. One of the challenges that we have with trying to share positions, and we've had these discussions with Public Works, is the priority. Who does the mechanic ultimately work for? In other words, who's the number one priority? There's a snowstorm coming in tonight to bring in 6 inches of snow, and I'm looking to get my one of my trucks put back on the road, right? Where's the priority? The other challenge that we all have is that these diesel mechanics and heavy duty folks are hard to come by, and they're sought after, and it costs money. So our effort has been rather to try and eliminate the amount of times that we need to send things for shop labor and try to deal with it in-house, be it an electrical issue, bulbs, that sort of thing, whatever small things that we can take care of in-house rather than pay the shop rates.
Any other questions? You folks have anything? Any other information? Any other stuff you'd like?
I'd like Newcastle to start paying their share and Rye and everyone, like we say every year, that people
Well-
get working together, and maybe they could pay half of this guy's salary, or person's salary.
There are underlying currents that are flowing back and forth that might address that. I can't give up any information, so
I
just
know
want you to
in
know
other places.
the Dickey Gamester is thinking about that heavily. Well, let me tell you, that every city around us needs to start saying. How's that? Town, city. Anyway, if there's no further discussion on the budget, I'll close the public hearing, and we're gonna need a vote as to what we're going to present to the city council. Thank you, Chief.
Make the motion?
You don't want my motion,
Well, we could vote either way.
all
right?
right? I would like to make a motion.
Gonna have to make another motion after.
That's right, right? So there'll be 2 motions then.
Yeah.
Got it.
To approve the fiscal year 25 request at the 0.99%.
We have a second,
Second, so we can vote on.
okay? The discussion.
I'm good, and I think I've made my point.
I don't need any. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye.
Aye.
So we now need a positive motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we go
Thank you,
with
Jen.
the other budget number, which I don't have in front of me right here,
208.
2.08.
Yeah.
Yes, with the 2.08 presentation that was made.
To include, please do this to include the hiring of new position.
To include the hiring of a new deputy's position as outlined by the chief in the presentation.
We have a second. I'll second that. You didn't jump up. Any discussion?
That we discussed.
It's already been discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No,
One opposed. We have that. That was what we'll be producing for the city council and sending forward. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? I didn't know if you were leaving, so guess what? Now I'll say, and gentlemen. Good night now. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the fire chief reports.
I call your attention to item 26027 for the response report for the month of January. Well, you'll see that we had a increase of fire responses and a decrease of 3 ambulance responses from the previous month. A couple of incidents of note that you see there before you. Including, believe it or not, a large mulch fire in the month of January that crews were tied up with for a couple of hours. And a couple of mutual aid responses. And then we had another jumper incident in the month of January as well, where the crews did not deploy the boat, but stayed on land. Anecdotally, broken sprinkler and water pipe calls were up in the month of January, but car accidents were down in the month of January.
Nobody was traveling
Yeah.
around the circle.
Or, right, careful in the snow. And then our safety message for the month of January has to deal with home heating, and your safety tips are there. Item 26027 is your primary incident type found in let's find those for the next 3 pages. And thank you, Commissioner Mathis. We noted to make sure to number each page the same for each report, so not to confuse.
But when you go to print it, don't go with the page number.
Yeah.
Because they're all 39.
Right.
27.
And then on the back of that, you'll have your incidents by fire district broken down. Item 26028 is your runs by provider impression for EMS calls for the month of January.
Did you figure out a way to only show headers or something in this? Cause it's, right, it's showing like the header and then the sub, so it's like duplicating everything. Cause every header has like,
Unfortunately, no, clearly I haven't been able to figure that out, but I will work on it.
maybe even subcategory.
Yeah. And there may be a way, we'll dig into that for next month. And then if you'd like, I'll keep rolling, get into the budget report. You'll see item 26029. Showing us 61% expent, 58% into the year. And again, this is while the projection is showing us is coming in at just under 1%. These are projections at this point, and where we're still 6 months out, we tend to project a little heavier, make sure we don't get ourselves out over our skis on the budget. And item 26030 is your overtime analysis report. The breakdown of the different overtime expenditures in the month.
How long are the firefighters that are out for workman's comp gonna be? What's it look like?
It appears as though we're gonna have everybody back here as I speak to you right now.
Really?
Yes.
Good. All up and fresh.
Yes. That concludes my reports on 26027 through 030. I'll entertain any questions you might have.
I'd like to have a motion to accept the chief's reports.
Like to make a motion to accept the fire chief's reports 26-027 through 26-030 as presented.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Staff reports.
All right, the new engine has arrived. It is out in the bay here at Station 2. It's been lettered and the radio has been installed. For the next couple of weeks, the mechanics will be working on getting all of the equipment and whatnot installed in that vehicle. Greenwood will be down in next week and the following to do training for all personnel on the new apparatus.
Were you happy with this thing?
Looks great.
No, I mean, is it as used as you wanted?
There was a delay from what we designed until the time it arrived, but I think it has everything that the guys put all that time and effort into.
Does the quality look as good as before?
It looks like the other trucks we have, and so far so good.
Okay,
Will that truck work out of this station when it goes, or is it gonna go to 1 or 3?
So it'll go to Station 3, and the current engine 4 we retired.
Okay.
which you can bid on if you like.
That's later in the meeting.
Yeah, it's a little later in the
We
agenda.
may have to talk about that. I know of a couple of departments that can use that truck.
Marine One went down to Marblehead last Thursday for its annual maintenance for bottom paint and some repairs to the sponsons on it. Hoping to have that back either tomorrow or Thursday.
Let me just ask you a question. No, I don't have to ask it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I just thought about it.
Station Two's roof, on the side of the station.
Still.
So the roof is watertight, after conferring with the contractor as well as project manager. They have a couple of punch list items to take care of. And we're gonna wait for a little bit more favorable weather. So early spring we'll be back to finish up those few items. But it seemed after talking with the city staff, that was the best interest to, I drag it out with them to shoveling snow on. So as the chief indicated, we're making progress on our current positions. We have 2 candidates that are going through the interview process now, and we have one that is currently going through background and physical. The background was completed, and they're just waiting on the physical, and then they'll get started. I did update the listing on the fire academy's webpage. We've seen quite a few more applications over the last week or so. So traffic's picking up with that, and some of the certifications that they're coming through are what we're looking for compared to entry level certifications. So it's picking up a little. Fire training, ongoing probationary training, and as I said, all personnel will be going through Greenwood's training program for the Brass. We sent his ambulance over to the shipyard 2 weeks ago to participate in an active shooter drill over there. And then I participated in a tabletop hospital evacuation drill that involved Portsmouth Hospital, Center Hospital, and working to get those patients dispersed throughout the state and evacuate 360 patients between those 2 facilities within an 8-hour time frame. That's my report.
The active shooter drill, how do you do it there? There's no room in it. Where do you do it in that place?
At the shipyard, it was in one of the many buildings that they have over there.
No, one guy in each building?
It's it's snug, but it was a successful drill for them.
I mean, a weekend in a school would probably do the same thing, wouldn't it?
They're again the space that they have.
Yeah.
It's Monday through Friday operations for them, but they need to do it when their personnel are there to be able to test their plans.
Thank you. That's right. They're involved too for the, yeah.
Correct.
So we're jumping on their back.
We were asked to participate and be an extra ambulance for them, and that's what we provided.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I could point out to you here, we're sort of bouncing around on the agenda. If you wouldn't mind taking up item 26036, and then he could give his report.
okay. 3-6?
Correct.
Okay, yes, we need to
Suspend the rules.
suspend the rules. Motion to suspend the rules.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Take up item
To
26.
take up item 26-36.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
You'll see here before you, a general order issued on the 2nd of February by myself. Fire prevention officer Chad Putney had to be appointed to be the acting deputy chief responsible for fire prevention and community risk reduction. You may recall I came to you earlier and talked about doing some reorganization within the fire prevention division, trying to wring out some savings. And those efforts are still ongoing, and in an effort just to make sure that we had somebody who could lead the team in the interim. After meeting with Chad and Fire Prevention Officer Wheeler, Chad has stepped up to take the role.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope you have fun and enjoy it. Now, what, are we going back to the regular schedule?
Mhm.
Okay. Which is,
He's got a staff report to give you,
yes, yes,
26032.
yes.
So January, excuse me, January was a very busy month for us in fire prevention. A lot of meetings, a lot of inspections, a lot of permits, a lot of plans review. Typically, January would be a little slower month. This is indicative of just the amount of developments in the city. And it's just, there's so many projects going on that there's still construction starting. For the closest months of the year, but things have been going swimmingly. One's is Project Albacore. It's a nickname for that large purple building that's out on Pease. They're beginning to take occupancy of parts of that building, and then over the next 6 months, they'll be occupying the whole building. And they say they're bringing the cure for diabetes there. Don't ask me to explain the science. The Red Hook and Cisco Brewery building has mothballed. It's up for sale. I hear there might be an offer on it, but nothing has been publicly made. Carbon monoxide calls were actually down, which is unusual. Normally, older cats we get more, but we haven't had any, which is good. I don't know if we got them. We also had a fire management side of election, fire academy, and John and I accolades to our existing decisions. That's my part. Any questions?
Questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks.
Old business.
You have before you 26033, the FY27 budget schedule, including work sessions with the city council. I believe those have all been emailed to you as a calendar appointment as well.
Yep.
More of an informational item. And then item 26034, a new MOA between local 4039 and the city of Portsmouth. This, you may recall, would address the situation surrounding the pay issues for newly promoted lieutenants and move them to the proper steps. We had talked about it last month, and that agreement didn't move forward. So I'm bringing you back a revised agreement and to see if we can get this to move forward.
You, members of the board, the commission, your thoughts on the new agreement?
Yeah, do we have to vote on it?
Yes.
Right, so I'd make a motion to accept the MOA between the local 4039 and the city of Portsmouth as written.
Like to second that?
Discussion?
I think we discussed it, in the past, that it's the right thing to do to get them in the right step alignment, and it's only until collective bargaining, right, is in effect of June 30th, 2026, so it's right around the corner.
Yeah. Are you here to speak on this?
I wasn't intending on speaking.
Okay. You just here to listen?
No. Yeah, I'm comfortable listening. Thank you.
Okay, well.
Unless you have-
When I saw you here, I'm going, all right, let me find out if he is, because I'd let you.
Unless you have a question for me.
No, I don't.
Thank you for asking.
I wanted to include you. Thank you for your help in making this work, so. The situation that we find ourselves in, and I find it very difficult how we got here. Chief, if you don't mind, you've heard this before. After 5 different labor attorneys over the past 30 years, 2 different city attorneys and multiple other attorneys, 2 groups of fire officers and board in negotiations, two groups, that's for fire and officers, that we have done these memorandums of understanding, memorandums of agreement in the past. But it seems as though this year, or this time, this particular item got flagged by somebody in a up on the hill. And nobody can figure out why it got flagged. What did we do wrong in the 30 years with the 5 attorneys in the negotiating side, the two city attorneys and the obvious attorneys around, everybody being an attorney. We did very well. We got these done.
Mhm.
It appears to me that I'm only making this statement because I think we're paying the bill for somebody else's wrongdoing. And I just need to make that clear that I think we've always done a great job doing this. I don't know why 14 people had to get involved in it. I also don't know why, while I was looking at a budget hearing, and I heard the deputy finance manager sitting there talking about how he's got to make up $10 million of uncovered dollars that, you know, increases that weren't there and now are. And while I'm looking at, I'm reading the memorandum of agreement, looking at the tos and the froms and it said, I started laughing, I'm going, there's $1 million worth of salaries here. Talking about a $9,000 correction in salaries.
Mhm.
The problem is right there.
Mhm.
$1 million of salaries, looking at this. And that's only to get worse. I just want you to know that. But I choose to fight it another day, but it was a good time for me to bring it up.
Mhm.
And I don't have to bring it up at a city council meeting.
Mhm.
But I am going to vote for this, even though I dislike the way it happened. So I call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? No. Passes. Thank you. You didn't mind that, did you? Nope. Moving on. Where are we?
New business.
Oh, new business, 2635. Oh, my goodness.
Item 26035 here tonight is Alan Schultz. Alan has successfully been promoted to a fire prevention officer after the recent promotional process that was held. So congratulations, Alan. And Alan, if you'd like to introduce yourself or
Yeah.
say anything,
Thank you.
now's your time.
Thank you very much for
Appreciate it.
for
Thank
doing
you.
this,
Thank you.
jumping in. Moving on up, as they say.
Item 26037 is an informational item for the commission. It's the Board of Ethics, which, as you may recall, Commissioner Mathis was selected blindly out of a hat for last month.
Wonderful job.
Congratulations.
Look forward to
Participating.
participating.
You don't ever want that to happen to you.
27038 is the informational item that was provided to the Deputy City Clerk with respect to attendance of the Fire Commission. And item 26039 is also an informational item, which is the City Council goals, summaries and strategic objectives that were met and discussed on their retreat in January of this year.
Is it, the retreat was held for goals, but it wasn't held for departments and what to do with departments or what happened. I got the goals out of there, but I don't understand what it's got to do with the fire department. And yet you spent a whole day there.
I was asked to participate, but I guess I can't answer the question. How's that?
That's okay. But I had to pose it.
No, yeah, you know, they met.
You were a facilitator.
Yeah, but some of the departments, right, don't necessarily report to the council as well. When you look at the charter, right, we have a fire commission, a police commission, and a school board. So
Yep.
some of these are a little bit above day-to-day operations and more, you know, much more high level and objective.
Okay. I was quite amazed at this list of goals and objectives. It was clearly unattainable. Anyway, how you doing?
It's good to have goals.
Buddy?
Right?
Good to have goals.
Yes, good to have goals. They're attainable.
Strategic alignment. That's all right.
Item 26040 is a letter from Attorney Richard Mullen, writing on behalf of the Portsmouth Professional Fire Officers Association. with their desire to renegotiate their current collective bargaining agreement.
I answered Dick Mullen and with this comment, I don't have my answer right here, but it was, why don't we let Dick and Tom set up a couple of dates, send us the dates. We'll get them all to you guys. We'll select the first date and that's agreeable. We need that with all the bodies in one place. And we come to the first meeting, stop, do what we're gonna do, and then set the calendar at that point where everybody can look at their calendars and figure out what's going on. Otherwise, it's me calling you, you calling them, and it just doesn't work. Let's get everybody in one space at one time and get it done. And I understand that has since been passed to Kelly Harper, and she's gonna make that happen, that first one. So, yeah, we're in. We're in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 26041, a memo from me on the disposal of a fire engine. As the assistant chief talked about the arrival of a new fire engine out front in the ramp. We now need to dispose of a 2006 E1 Typhoon pumper, currently engine 4. So I'm looking for the commission to vote to have me start the disposal process, which would then work with finance and purchasing and get it before the council to have them vote to authorize purchasing and finance to put it out to bid.
Like to make a motion to dispose of vehicle number 158, engine 4, 2006 E1 pumper.
Like to second that motion?
Would you like to change, ask if you change that to make a positive motion to give it to the chief to do that? In other words, with the chief with power. That way it knows who's doing it. That way it knows who's doing it.
I modify my motion, what the chair said.
And I'd second that modification.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Who else did you think was gonna? So,
No, but if it's nice to have it in there.
Yep.
Okay, not, we're designating responsibilities sometimes won't put us in a position that we were in on an MOU
mhm.
or an MOA.
We make a motion to adjourn.
We all know.
You're all done.
Like to make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Stop.
Thank you.